The world is full of mysteries, including the wonders of our world's oceans. With what little has been discovered, it makes the marine environment one of the most intriguing and mystifying ecosystems. The deep depths of our oceans invoke fear and interest as we try to discover and research more about it each and every day. What has been discovered has been revolutionary and has led to many innovations, including in the medical and industrial field. The haunting sound of a humpback whale can be heard as it resides in the mystic marine ecosystem. Marine ecosystems are quite unique aquatic environments, with some abiotic and biotic factors that differ from terrestrial ecosystems. Some common and well-known marine ecosystems include coral reefs and the open ocean, and some of the abiotic factors include sunlight, depth, temperature, waves, tides, oxygen, and nutrients levels. And some biotic factors include marine animals, marine plants, and microbes including phytoplankton and algae. The abiotic and biotic factors can work together symbiotically or parasitically with one another. Plants require water and carbon dioxide, along with nutrients and the activation of sunlight to produce oxygen and a complex sugar such as glucose. However, they must be close to the surface rather than at great depths, because light intensity decreases as depth decreases. Therefore, photosynthesis cannot occur. At the depths where plants do exist, they produce oxygen and act as food and shelter for marine animals, such as fish. Though nutrients is required for photosynthesis, too much of it can cause eutrophication, leading to thick masses of spring blooms of algae, which prevent light from reaching plants. Another unique trait for the marine ecosystem is tides, which are both beneficial and consequential. They are one factor that regulates temperature, stratification, and thus density via tidal mixing. They can also be dangerous to humans, such as riptides. The ocean is both beautiful yet unpredictable. Many specialized animals inhabit marine ecosystems and have evolved certain characteristics in order to survive, such as fins and gills, and specific body shapes. The humpback whale, beautiful mammal, is one of the many living beings that inhabits marine ecosystems. Humpback whales can be found in many, if not most, of the world's oceans, including Canada, the United States, Norway, and the Caribbean, to name a few. Whales as a whole began as terrestrial beings until they evolved about 50 million years ago. They were said to have evolved from an ancient ancestor land mammal with 4 legs and hooves, which were made for running, called the Pachycetus, according to Whales Online 2023. Whales nowadays have adapted to the aquatic life, and some of the main and unique evolutions include the disappearance of their hind limbs, loss of fur, front limbs have become fins, they now have a torpedo-shaped body that is meant for streamlining, and a strong caudal tail meant for propulsion, along with blowholes atop of their head that is used for respiration. They are much like humans where they are warm-blooded, have lungs, and are able to maintain internal body temperature. They are able to breathe air, and they are also viviparous, which means they give birth to live young. Since they breathe air, they are required to resurface to respirate through their blowhole. Humpback whales interact with their environment in many ways to survive and reproduce. Whales are known for their lengthy migration and their ability to migrate on body reserve. Specific regions around the world represent their main feeding ground, such as high latitudes, where they feed on small crustacean and build up body fat during the summertime, as well as their main breeding ground, where females give birth to live calf every 2 to 3 years according to NOAA Fisheries 2016, and these regions include the tropics and subtropics during the wintertime. According to a report done by Maynek et al. 2021, 148 studies including 105,000 humpbacks was conducted in the northern and southern hemispheres around the world to determine the humpback whale's migration behavior and why specific locations were chosen as their feeding and breeding grounds. They found that during the summertime, humpback whales migrated to feeding grounds with upwelling, high concentrations of prey, and chlorophyll A, along with areas that experience change in currents. The increased movement of water, along with high concentrations of chlorophyll A, can bring in and attract more prey from specific directions without the humpback whale actually having to move and expel as much energy. They also found that during the wintertime, humpback whales would migrate to areas that were calmer and warmer near the shoreline to assure the survival of their young. These areas also contain low concentrations of chlorophyll A to prevent the attraction of possible predators. The main takeaway from the study was to understand the migration behavior of humpback whales to increase conservation efforts. It is important to recognize the importance of our marine ecosystems, including the animals that inhabit these environments. Multiple factors threaten the livelihood of the humpback whales every single day, including climate change, being harmed by boats on purpose or by accident, and by fishers' equipment such as nets, where the humpback whale becomes entangled. One way to conserve these beautiful mammals is to acknowledge the indigenous community and their knowledge of the land. I found a passage stated by the two-eyed seeing to be quite inspiring and important when understanding the land and conservation. Two-eyed seeing is hard to convey to academics, as it does not fit into any particular subject area or discipline. Rather, it is about life, what you do, what kind of responsibilities you have, how you should live on Earth. The advantage of two-eyed seeing is that you are always fine-tuning your mind into different places at once. You are always looking for another perspective and better way of doing things. I find we are so focused on the specifics behind things to explain why an event does or does not occur. There always has to be one answer and one solution, just like in academics. However, this is not the case. If we took a step back to observe the situation, like the aerial perspective of a hawk, we could act proactively instead of reactively. Changes always need to be made, perspectives need to be taken into account, and responsibility needs to be taken in order to be as proactive as possible. There are healthier and more beneficial ways to respect and conserve the land, which we could definitely learn and apply from the indigenous community, each and every person, especially the government. We are in a mass extinction called the Holocene extinction at the moment, and if we proceed with our antics, it will no longer be how can I conserve? It will become what is left to conserve.